Okay, here we have the newly designed sick note or fit note. Obviously, fit note is the better thing to call it because you want to confuse people into, I don't know, rage, despair. You know, it's important to target the most vulnerable in order to massage the statistics, you know. People that are able to figure out what's actually in the legislation, they can just kind of waltz through it because we've made a cop-out if but for ourselves. So obviously, if it all doesn't make sense, we've got to make a cop-out, right? We just don't help the people that are most vulnerable to find it, you know. So here is the newly formed Fit Note. Obviously, the Fit Note inspired by, I believe, Ian Duncan Smith, or whoever created the Fit Note. Obviously, it's a statement of unfitness for work, but it's important to call it a Fit Note so that when you send people to the job centre for appointments to speak with a work coach when they're not fit for work, that we create enough confusion so they actually will kind of look for work, right? This is what it's all about, because it's about stressing the people that are most vulnerable with inversion, because apparently that's what works, to massage the statistics. And so obviously this is a newly formed Fit Note. I want you to see here. Obviously, this is the royal seal here. So you've got the ass, the donkey. You've got the scorpion. Obviously, this just shows the power and the discretion, the gentleness, if you like, and the power of the country. Obviously, the old motto, the royal seal, never talk like adults, and the sheer rage at the centre of it all. The jester's hacks, none of it's serious. It's just a cheap software that's, as it were, downloaded from God. And Wizard of Oz, maybe nobody's ever figured it out. They think, oh, there must be something back of it, and then it turns out, well, just got at a lower level. So okay, or just like a fool's version of the law of life. So is there a Lucifer? Is there not? Well, level for level, right? So altitude for altitude. Hello, false accusers. Anyway, so because they have no spiritual sense, but if we keep that, then it's a good thing. Anyway, so Lucifer and my venality, you see, because it's important to serve Lucifer, but in as far as that's kind of just a game based on what's spiritually active, it could be that to be served by Lucifer, you have to kind of serve the active delusion whose source he's not really going to tell you, because otherwise you'd be probably in God's law, wouldn't you? So it's Lucifer and my venality. Don't bother with this, God and my right thing, even though that's Luciferian as well, because it should be, God with my right. In other words, my right comes from my righteousness. It's not something to set side by side with that, with righteousness. So anyhow, so this is obviously the real new formed royal seal. We don't bother with the crown anymore because, that's all just, it's much better to have the jester's hat, the sheer rage. So there we have it, the royal seal. And then, of course, the name, so you just put your name in. So, okay, Western leadership. Age, well, intellectually, mentally, morally, whatever. Well, it can vary, but let's say 2 years old. Symptoms, malfeasance. No point making it complex. You don't want to stress the doctor out or anything, If you write too much, then, maybe people are going to get stressed, or I don't know what it is. Just put malfeasance, and then, you know. It's like, well, what if they don't know they're doing it? Ah, yeah, well, it doesn't matter, does it? Because it's just the energy field of Lucifer, so it doesn't matter. And all this inversion plus this simplicity, it's not going to create any conflict for anybody, is it? Unless they're kind of, on the downside of life. And what do we care about that? Okay, doctor's name and station. Well, let's say this time it's Lao Hu Long Lao Hu, yeah. Station, England. The patient will be unfit for work for as long as they're unrighteous. You say, well, you don't have to necessarily be righteous, do you? Well, you kind of do, even if you don't really know God. But once you start generating enough craziness, I say you have to definitely get righteous. So the patient will be unfit for work as long as they're unrighteous, and that the government is unconsciously walking us into some kind of nightmare that doesn't actually work for anybody who's actually plugged into reality. So, so let's not make it complex, as long as they're unrighteous. Doctor's signature, well, that's very easy, just, the Chinese characters, long lao, whatever. And so patient's signature. So I understand that Luciferian legislation fights fraud by promoting it. Okay, so don't be agreeing to anything that's not real, even though all this is all crazy and upside down, and we're not really looking for the specifics, and we even blame you as crazy if you actually start putting the specifics that how we're actually making you ill with our malfeasance and craziness and inversion. Like the actual system that's supposed to help you if you are ill is itself a promoter of sickness. So just I understand that Luciferian legislation fights fraud by promoting it. That's a way that the formers of this legislation have decided to help you out, in case it's all getting a bit too much. So you just say, yeah, I understand that Luciferian legislation fights fraud by promoting. So you accept that, yeah, because that makes sense, doesn't it? You see, that's what you're supposed to do. So then you just sign here, and then we'll sort your money out.